Hi.
Hi.
What do you want to know?
Well, the first thing I can ask is, do you remember how you got into SAG?
Ooh, into SAG. I mean, I've been acting since I was 8. I started with voiceovers because both my parents were actors, and my dad was a voice actor. And voice acting was a little easier thing for kids to get into than on camera. I didn't need to be pulled out of school for auditions. A lot of on camera stuff is. So I started there, and I think my first job was a car commercial for Acura or Mazda or something when I was 8. I don't know if that's how I got my SAG card. It might have been like my next job, but that was definitely my first job that got me SAG eligible. And I think the only thing that I said was in a whisper, "Follow me." That was it. I was in there for probably like 5 minutes, just saying, "Follow me," like a bunch of times. That was my first job. So yeah.
What about any kind of first voiceover job that you had then?
You mean after that one?
Yeah.
Um, what are my other first voiceover jobs? Probably different looping jobs and ADR jobs.
Hmm.
Um, they're kind of always looking for kids who one can behave, who can like stand still and listen, and not cause like a complete riot in the studio, but who can also read and then obviously perform somewhat. But even then, when you're a kid, you can get away with not being the best actor because they need a kid who can just, read and sit still basically. But it does help if you're able to also perform. And I was a very big performer when I was a kid. I was very annoying. I was very rambunctious. I was very creative. It has done very well for myself as an adult. As a child, it was very annoying, but it was very beneficial for my career. And so the first jobs that I was doing was for looping, and it would probably be me and like 3 or 4 other kids for various movies or TV shows. I remember I did like a Touched by an Angel, which you might be too young to know that show. Now I'm showing my age. I remember I did a Touched by an Angel. That movie Joe Somebody. That was one of my looping things. I don't think I've ever seen it, but I still get residual checks for like two pennies every few months, which just drives me crazy because it's like the stamp that they used to put the check in the envelope and send it to me cost more than the actual check itself. Like, it's just so crazy. I have actually gotten residual checks for 0.00 cents,
Hmm.
$0, but they have to send it out no matter what. It's weird. It's crazy. What else? Oh, I also did that. What's it called? Dickie Roberts.
Oh, right.
Dickie Robert. I feel like there's another part of the name. I don't remember what it is. With another guy. I can't remember his name. Gee, this is a great interview, Marcella. I don't remember the name. I don't remember the actor's name. Cool. I do. It was Dickie, whatever that is. But I worked on that. Can't remember what I did for any of them. But I guess there was a lot of kids stuff, so they had us in there. And those were like my first jobs as an actor, as a kid getting started. I didn't start doing on camera until I was 12. So
Hmm.
there were a good 4 years before I started doing that.
I'm not sure if the credit is right, but early on too, I saw that you had a additional voices credit for the anime Saint Tail.
For which anime?
Saint Tail.
Ooh, it is very possible. A lot of times with anime, they won't tell you the name of what you're working on. Same with
Hmm.
video games, actually. So there's a lot of times where like a project I worked on will come out and I hear it and I'll hear the name, the title mentioned, and I won't process that as actually the same thing that I'm working on. It's really crazy. And I did do anime. I haven't really done anime recently. I'd love to get back into it because I'm watching more anime now.
Oh,
But I did do anime when I was a kid and a bit in my teen years. So it's I'm going to say yes, because it's very most likely since somebody did the research of figuring that out for me. Thank you, person who did that. But I don't remember the name.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is probably obvious too, but do you often have to, with ADR, do you often have to do celebrity voice matching?
Actually, not as often as you'd think. And usually when they do that, they'll it'll be something that is figured out before you actually get to work, and sometimes audition specifically for that. So it's not like you show up on the day and you're working and they're like, oh, we need someone to do Nicole Kidman or something, and then it's just like, who can do that? It's usually if they have a specific for a voice match. A lot of times if they already know someone who does that, then they'll reach out to the person, and be like, hey, we have this, can you send it? They'll even have them audition. Can you send us a sample, and then we'll bring you in? Or they do a full audition for anybody and open it up to anybody to come and do that. And I have done those in the past for sure, but it's not as often as you would think. Okay. That is included in the ADR world. It's fun. It's really fun. I like doing that. I'd like to do more of it, but a lot of times, sometimes they can actually get the actors in. And I think now, because everything is like recorded from home, it's a lot easier to get an actor who is on set somewhere in a hotel and they're just like, hey, can you just go into your closet, and where the real, hey, you need to come into a studio, and they're like, no, I'm not going to come into a studio. Well, can you just go into your hotel closet and record this, and we'll be fine. So I think because of that, the voice matching is going down a little bit. But I'm sure at some point it'll come back up again.
Yeah, I know you get this all the time, but just the impressions that you do are hilarious.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I don't go out that often, so I don't get this all the time. Okay. But thank you. I really do appreciate that. I do put a lot of work into it, and it's fun. It is fun, but it's more of a party trick and just something fun to do and to do on the side. And like, these videos are really fun, but they don't necessarily go into my actual work a lot. A lot of times they are very separate, but I love doing them. It's fun. Yeah.
So this was going back to the timeline, your career. So would one of your first original animation experiences be on Avatar?
Was I still in high school when I did that? No, I couldn't have been. Maybe I was like 18 or something. I can't remember, but I feel like I was young. That was awesome. That was really fun. They had Dante and I do it together in the booth. So it was very much us playing off of each other. And yeah, and it's so crazy how I just did this one scene in a great TV show. I mean, like, it is a great show. Avatar, it still holds up to today. Like, I love Avatar. And to be clear for anybody listening, this is The Last Airbender, not the James Cameron Avatar. But I was just in that one scene, that one episode, and people really fell in love with her and Zuko's relationship. And there's so many things on memes and things on the internet of their relationship. I love it so much. I'm like, oh my God, this was just this tiny little scene. And it really, really connected with people. And that's the best thing. You do so much work and you don't hear it back about anything. And you even wonder, did anybody like what I did? Did even the director like what I did? So when there is something where people kind of talk back at you and be like, hey, this was incredible and we really enjoyed it and it makes me feel good. And on a bad day, I like watching this. I'll get DMs like that. It's really nice. It's really, really nice. You might think, oh, we're being annoying. No, you're not. We love hearing that. It is such a sweet thing. Truly. Doesn't everybody like feeling like, oh my God, that bookcase you made, it's beautiful. Good job. Doesn't that make you feel good if you're a carpenter? It's the same thing. Mm-hmm. It feels good. And I think saying kind, nice things is never bad and it's never wrong. And we need more kindness in the world. So I really loved that show.
I think it was around the same time, but on camera, Do you remember, is there much of a story with being in Clubhouse, the show?
Whoa, Clubhouse. That is a trip. I don't think anyone has ever asked me about Clubhouse. God, Clubhouse was the one with I can't remember the
Jeremy
kid who played Peter. Yes. Yes. Oh my God. Ooh, I haven't thought about that in a really long time. I just remember I had a perm at that time when I was in that. So my hair is even more curlier than it is naturally. I remember all the kids were super nice. Super, super nice. Jeremy was great. We had a really fun time. It was like, we shot it over like a week. I do remember when I shot that, when I did that. And Mayor Winningham, she came to a D-task, which is like, shoot, I don't even remember what D-task stands for, but it's basically Sama Teachers Association in Southern California. Oh my God, did I just totally come up with that out of my ass and it's correct? That's awesome. I think maybe that's what it is. Don't quote me on it. It's basically this like a theater competition for Southern California. All these kids from all different high schools can compete and do like monologues, scenes and whatnot. And it's like 800 some, it's a lot over a day. And you go through like, there's 4 different times you have to do your scene or monologue. And then eventually somebody wins. And I did a Shakespeare monologue and 2 Shakespeare, you have to do a comedy and a drama. And Mayor Winningham is the woman who presented my my award. And I remember that happened before I shot the show. And so when I was on the show, I was like, hey, last year or whenever it was, you gave me this award for my Shakespeare thing, and now I'm working with you. And I remember being like, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Mhm.
I think that's the biggest thing that I remember from that show.
Okay.
But yeah, Winnie. My character was Winnie.
Mhm.
Oh, so funny. I don't know why that cracks me up, Winnie. I guess I look like a Winnie.
I think you're also, maybe there's been more, but you're the second voice actor I've talked to who is also on Without a Trace.
Oh yeah, Without a Trace was fun. I like doing all those procedural cop shows. Usually those kind of shows, they've been on for a while, so everyone has like a rhythm. The sets are really fun, probably a lot because the topics you're covering are so dark that you kind of need that brevity, the lightness behind the scenes. Otherwise, like, oh, we're talking about rape here. We're talking about serial killers. This is so sad and depressing. So in between everything is usually just really light and nice, and everyone's so fun. But yeah, I remember Without a Trace. God, that show's not still on, is it? I don't think it is.
No.
No, that was a good show though. It was.
And do you have a personal preference in general of working on darker projects opposed to comedic?
Ooh. I want to say no,
Okay.
because honestly, I just like working.
Mhm.
I just really like working. I like doing my job. I enjoy both for different reasons, you know? It's one, and it also that kind of like can change. Like one day it's like, oh man, I'm just like all into comedy right now. I love it. So much fun. And then it's like, oh, I'm so over that. Ugh, drama. Ooh, love it. Ooh, drama. And then, oh God, so dark. Let's go back to comedy. You know, it just kind of fluctuates, but a lot of time for project I'm working on at the moment, that's what I like doing, whatever is actually happening. I try as much as I can, even though sometimes it's very difficult to enjoy whatever it is that I am at that time actually working on, because I haven't always done that in the past. There was a lot when I was younger, there was a lot of, oh, this isn't what I want to be doing, so I'm unhappy doing this, when it's like, no, you should be happy that you're doing this too. But it's, oh, but it's not what I want to do, you know, just being a spoiled teenager type thing. And the older I really do try to go, no, this is what I get to work on right now. This is so much fun. And who knows what it'll be tomorrow. I don't always get to be that way, but I try to. I try.
Well, with voiceover so far, what do you think is the most emotionally involved, like darkest headspace you've had to go?
There's definitely been some, different video games. Oh man, I can't talk about it. I'm gonna try to do this as vague as possible.
Okay.
A month or so ago, this is the thing, guys, they make you sign your firstborn child if you talk about things before they give you the okay, and they will destroy you if you do. So I was working on a video game a month or so ago, and in the video game an animal dies, and it was very sad. I'm trying to be vague, but it was sad. An animal died. It was very sad, and the director and I, we got into a very dark place because of this death, and I think we got a really great performance out of it. But we really kind of had to stop and like talk about the scene, talk about the situation, and just how heartbreaking it was. Because it is also easy with video games to get into a sort of rhythm and get into a sort of sound. And this was like, we need to take a step back. This is very important. This is different. And we really want this to hit. And it was hard. It was hard. He started crying after I said my lines. And it was really powerful. And I needed to like, I needed a break for a second, drink some water. It was strong. But a lot of times also, other than looping, other than video games and looping and VR work, I've worked on some projects where like there's a school shooting and I'm playing someone who is literally running away from another student who is coming after them, trying to kill them. I've played women being before, and having to give the excerpt. A lot of times when you see a movie and even the main actor, for whatever reason, when they were filming it, maybe they just weren't getting enough struggling sounds, breathing, screaming. They want to pass more sound. So they'll have, a voice actor like myself come in and what we call chasing the scene. So we're basically watching the scene as it goes. And as the things are happening, we are responding and reacting to it. So as someone hits me over the head, I make a sound and react to that. As someone, is sexually assaulting me, or I see her mouth is opening for a scream, I then give the scream. And a lot of those times you can get into a very dark place, and you kind of need to, otherwise it's not going to be authentic. You kind of need to get vulnerable, because that's what humans respond to, is vulnerability. And humans are very, very, very talented at being able to spot when someone is being fake. So you kind of need to get into that dark place, and it's hard. It can be a lot.
I'm sure there were a lot of instances with that, with Resident Evil as well.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes, there were. It's crazy though, with Resident Evil, even though it's, man, tough topic, everything tough. We had a lot of fun recording it. I was getting to like curse all over the place, which is very rare. We were creative. They're like, Marcella, we don't have any other curse words. Can you please just create some things for us? Can you just, whatever comes to your head, can you just improv this, do this? And we were just laughing because it was just like, this is so much fun. And I also think, again, because of how heavy of a topic was, you need that brevity. So the actual recording of it, we kept light. It was fun. It was fun because you would go into those darker places, and then it's like, all right, somebody crack a joke because we need to cut that tension. It's okay, we're having fun again. This is great. And I actually remember the jokes and laughing from those sessions more than the hard, dark, sad stuff, which I think is good. Which I think is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was so much fun though. I would love to come back and do Moira again. She was one of my favorite characters I ever got to voice. Such a badass. It's just such a cool freaking chick. Just I really, really liked her. And I really wanted to do her again. And then we just did, and I was like, whatever. Happens all the time.
I know it's not like anywhere close to that, but Kindred Lamb is kind of creepy too.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We never had like super dark place kind of like we've been talking about with other stuff. But oh my God, that was also a very unique experience. That was so much fun. So much fun. It's so incredible. So usually for voiceovers, at least for video game animations can sometimes be different, but for video games, I would say 95% of the time, every actor records by themselves in the studio. So you're not, if there's a scene where you're getting to talk to another person, you do not have anyone to talk to. It's just one-sided. That actor is coming in later that day, tomorrow. So it's you recording by yourself. Because Kindred Lamb were it was so pivotal that the two of them were two sides of one whole. League of Legends, they made sure that they wanted that the two actors, we were going to be recording everything together. So we really did have that kind of dynamic. I think you can tell. I really like listening to it. I really think you can tell that the tests were completely in sync. Matt Mercer, who played Wolf, such a nice guy. Honestly, I know everyone when you do an interview is like, everyone always says everyone's nice. No, it's one, the people who aren't nice, we just don't mention. So just know that. And when someone also like we are in the voiceover community, most of the people are just the most dearest, sweetest balls on the face of the earth. But Matt Mercer goes out of his way to just be so incredibly kind and nice and sweet. And also seeing what he was doing for me to go, oh, okay, interesting. All right, then I really want to go over and lean in on this so that it really kind of like you can see he friends are like, oh, this is great. This really juxtaposes his darkness, blah. It was really cool. So we did everything in the booth together. And it was like, it's a small little booth before COVID, obviously. A small little booth. There's the two of us like in this like closet giggling and couldn't even see everybody out who were giving us the direction. We kind of just felt it was the two of us by ourselves, and then we'd hear the direction through the headphones. We had so much fun. It was just so much fun. And then I got to do her again for Legends of Runeterra, but we recorded that during 2020, like during COVID. So I record home. I think that was my first job during COVID from recording at home. So we didn't, I was so bummed. So we weren't able to work together. They had to record him separately, obviously, and me separately. But it was still really fun to come back and play that character. I would say Kindred and Corrin are my two favorite video game character era, with a close third. Yeah.
Well, I was just about to say I would think too, with how long you've been playing Corrin, that you have the most affinity with her.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea when I got the part that it was going to do video games a lot. I do a lot of video games, and a lot of video games are smaller ones, independent ones, hear of again, you don't know what happened. And this was one of them that they didn't tell you, what the project was or anything. And it was just another kind of like random character. I'm like, oh, that was going to hit. That was, the job. And God, how long have I been doing it? 10 years, 8 years, 9 years? I don't know. I don't remember when I started. It's been a while. I'm nearing a decade. I feel like I'm nearing a decade. And a couple times a year, I go back in and record more Corrin, and with the same people, the same team. It's always so good to see everybody. And it is usually when you do a recurring job, when you come in, they will play you a reference of yourself to just kind of like, okay, this is what you did for her. Give it a listen. And then you're like, okay, yeah, I remember. And this is where I am. Let's go. We've gotten to the point of me doing Corrin. I don't need to hear a reference. They don't give me. So there's like, all right, let's do Corrin. Let's get started. And it's so nice. It's like, yeah, Corrin lives inside me. Homegirl, I can tap into her whenever. I just love Corrin. And then when I got to do Corrin for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which a bunch of my friends play, that was cool.
Mhm.
It was really cool, like having my actual friends being like, "Oh my God, Marcella, I'm playing you right now. Like I just died as you." I'm just like, cool. That's awesome. That's really fun. That's really nice. That makes me feel good. I mean, not my friends dying, but you know, them playing me is always cool. I'll also get like messages from people being like, "You're my favorite main to play when I play. It's really cool." I'm just like, really? Out of all of them, you choose mine? Like, that's pretty cool. That's nice. That's very nice. Thank you very much for sharing that with me. It makes me feel good.
And with Heroes, what's been your favorite skin of her to record?
For Corrin?
Yeah.
Ooh, I would say what we did for was because French than her usual thing. So it was interesting to kind of do this kind of different side of her. Heroes was really fun. Heroes was really fun. Also I got to do a couple different other characters that I really enjoyed that I'm also like, can you guys bring her back? Because she was a badass. Like I think her name was Priscilla,
Yeah.
right? Priscilla. I loved doing Priscilla. I really, really liked doing Priscilla. I felt like Priscilla was slightly more not I don't want to say more me because Corrin is also me. It's just like these are all just different sides. A lot of times, all the different characters that I play, they're just different sides and aspects of me shining through. Even freaking Lamb, like there's a weird, ethereal lamb that lives inside currently. But I really, really enjoyed doing Priscilla. She came very easy to me. It's kind of like ballsiness, straight shooter, doesn't no bullshit. Her dialogue was a little bit different than regular Fire Emblem dialogue. A lot of times a lot of times, sometimes, especially with translations and things, there will be certain lines that will just be written easy. And a lot of times in the studio, they'll rewrite it. Like, oh no, don't say that. Rewrite it, do this, whatever. There was something about Priscilla. God, am I thinking of Priscilla or am I actually thinking of Scarlet? No, I'm thinking of Scarlet. Oh my God. Priscilla was like the slightly young, I think.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't really if I messed that up. No, I'm sorry, everybody. I'm talking about Scarlet. Scarlet was the one who was like ballsy and straight shooter and everything. Priscilla was totally different. People are probably listening going, what the fuck are you doing? No, that's not Priscilla. Because it's not Priscilla. It was Scarlet. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, I can't, but I also voiced Priscilla.
I think for me, probably with Corrin's different alts and heroes, that the like Dark Fallen Corrin is the most interesting.
Oh yeah. That was fun. That was cool. It was like completely different side of Corrin. Really very different than the stuff that we've done in the past. Which is always kind of fun. And they always say at the end, like, okay, and now we're just going to go back to good old fashioned Corrin for these lines. I'm like, great, yay. But there's always a little something that's changed with each release.
Right. Yeah, just hearing with the Dark Fallen Corrin, hearing the screams that you do for her, those are like goosebump invoking.
My gosh, I don't know if I've actually heard them. A lot of times after I do it, I don't listen back and hear myself. Is this in the game you're talking about that you hear me?
Yeah.
Playing? Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Awesome. Thank you. Honestly, I really screaming for jobs. A lot of voice actors won't scream, which I totally understand. I've learned how to scream so that I'm not damaging, and I love doing. Whenever they're like, "Oh, we need a scream right here," I'm like, "I'll do it." I think it was for some of the Scream movies that I ADR work, the last Scream movie as well. But God, I can't remember. I'm so sorry, but there's like some horror franchise where in one of them, kid you not, every single scream you hear from an extra, from some of the main cast, is me. They literally just, I came in and just did a day of screaming. See that girl falling from the Golden Gate Bridge. See that girl coming out of the fire screaming. Main girl over here is running, just like me, all over the place. Which is kind of cool. Be like, yeah, I just screamed for this movie. It was pretty cool. But yeah.
That's why I find ADR so interesting, is because it's a lot of stuff that people don't normally think about.
Oh, it's not at all. ADR, it's starting to, with the internet and everything, this is the information age and everything just being available, we're starting to learn about stuff that for decades and decades nobody knew freaking existed. So many different jobs in post-production and pre-production with the industry that nobody would think of, that's someone's job that they need to do. That tiny little thing, you're like, what? Someone does, like, yeah, that someone does that. And ADR is something that is starting to get of notice, I guess, in the media, and people are talking about it and whatnot. And I mean, my parents were my dad looped Star Wars, like Star Wars, the original episode 4, 5, 6. You can actually, there's one scene where he completely replaced the main actor's lines, and that's my dad, and he's in the freaking first Star Wars, and that was from him doing an ADR session. My dad did Back to the Future. And he's the very first voice you hear in Back to the Future. Sorry, ignore that. He's the very first voice you hear in Back to the Future, where there's like a panning clocks, and then one of the clocks goes off, and then there's like an ad for a Toyota commercial. That's my dad, and that was from an ADR looping session. So a lot of times with ADR and looping, playing the background, you're playing the masses when there's crowds. That's how they get all that big crowd sound, because they get a bunch of voice actors together to do that. But then a lot of specifics of, oh, they're listening to the radio and there's a weather person coming on, or, oh, there's a basketball game being played in the background and those two announcers talking about the game. Those are voice actors. They're listening to a podcast, voice actors. In a hospital, the PAs over the system, voice actors. Every single thing you hear that's a voice and you're not seeing, and it's not a main character, that is a voice actor in an ADR session doing their job. Not a single one is an actual real life thing, unless they get the license for it, which is very rare. When they're watching TV shows, like straight up TV shows, documentaries, or like, oh, there's a sitcom and you're hearing a sitcom. Those are us recreating sitcoms and commercials and all of that stuff, which is really fun to do. Very fun to do. Yeah, it's been since the 70s, I believe. ADR has been around, but people aren't really starting into, like, the past few years or so. And it's huge. It's very important. I mean, it's something that you don't notice, but without it, would completely change film or a TV show. It's awesome. It's awesome. I love what I do. It is so much fun. It is so much fun to work on all these projects and like hear it afterwards and go, oh guys, that's us. Honestly, like obviously where we play a very small role in a huge team, but it's cool to kind of be like, it wouldn't be what it is without us. Just like it wouldn't be what it is without the lighting team. It wouldn't be what it is without the editing people. Like, it's cool. It's really cool. Anyways, I geek out over that stuff all the time.
And well, with Corrin and Heroes, with the most recent Skin of Hurt that you did be the ninja thing with Natalie Lander.
Oh yes. Okay, yeah. They didn't have artwork at the time, so I didn't get to see what they looked like.
Oh, okay.
But I do remember Ninja Corrin. That was pretty cool. I remember them coming in and them being like, so guess what? I'm like, what? You get to be a ninja today. And I was like, hell yes. Thank you. What else can I throw it at me? Let's do this. That was pretty fun. Cause yeah, whenever I go into record, I never know what it's going to be. They don't send me the script. There is no rehearsal or anything like that. They just book me for however long. It's usually like a 2 or 4 hour session. a few times, and I'll come in, or I'll record from home. I think one of the last ones I recorded from home. Can't remember. Anyways, I'll come in and they have the script right up there on the mic stand. We chat for a few minutes, catch up, and then it's like, all right, let's go. And I read the script. We just go line by line in the same moment. I'll do A/B takes. Unless they want to try something else, then I'll do like an ABC take. And then we go through the whole thing. So every single time it's me finding out this information in the moment, which is kind of cool.
And is there, throughout the entirety that you've been doing Corrin, is there like any kind of funny anecdote you have with being directed by anybody, or?
A lot of times it's whenever something's funny, it's because I mispronounce something, like a name or whatnot. And usually it's like I'm saying the line with such conviction, with such like, I'm so serious. And so I completely mispronounce this word or name with such conviction that it's that they're just like, no, that's not what. And every single time it's always funny. It's just always funny. There's also been, I can't remember what lines exactly, but every once in a while there's some line that is just so out of the norm of the Fire Emblem world. Honestly, I feel like the writers are putting them in there as a joke for us to see if we catch it, that it just like, no matter how you say it, it doesn't work. It's a terrible line. They never end up using them. They always end up cutting them, but there's always just like one in every session where you're just like, what do I have to say? What? Like, no one talks like this. This is the most random, like, oh, gee whiz, ma, something around that. It's like that. Just so like cheesy and weird, like, oh, gee whiz, I wish I could do that, or whatever it is. And you're just like, and you hear yourself saying it, and then they're laughing and they're like, yeah, we're not using that at all. This is terrible. It's really funny. Also, Danny, who does a lot of the recording, she's one of the engineers who works at the studio that we record a lot of Fire Emblem. She's recording everything. She's also very awesome, and nothing goes by her, and she's very fast. So and she's learned that with me, she has to be always recording, because I'll just random shit throughout, and everyone's like, oh, I wish we got that. I'm like, and I'll say something at some point, and then she'll have recorded it. She cuts it together, pieces together, and then we'll play it for the room real quick. And you're like, how did you do that so fast? And it's just so funny. So now she has them on like certain buttons. You can just like press that, and then that specific thing, oh, fuck the cat, or whatever it is, just like pops up. I don't know why I said that. I love cats and dogs. So those things are kind of fun. They're fun. They have to be. Otherwise, it's going to come out in the performance, and it's going to come out with you guys. You're going to be able to tell it's not good. You have to have a fun session with caring people who are all good at their job and do the project that they're doing in order to come of something great. In my personal opinion.
Well, I think it had to be kind of funny too, doing the like summer vacation swimsuit Corrin stuff.
Yes, I remember they did have some artwork for that one, and I remember seeing it. I was like, what? I was like, that is not the bathing suit that Corrin would choose. Excuse me. I remember doing that one, dude. That was fun. There were some funny lines within that one too. I was like, this is so random. And they're like, we know, it's great. I'm like, yeah. That was fun. Yeah. I think Cam Clark does some of the male Corrins, and I've worked with him a bunch since I was a kid. Like a whole bunch. And he was parents. And I remember like reading that he does one of the male, like, no way, but I would never know. I would not know, because they don't tell us anything. A lot of times when we're recording too, because they don't necessarily bring back the same people or the same characters and roles. So you also want to kind of be careful with what you say, like, oh, hey, is this person coming? And you're like, oh, we're not, that character isn't in this game. You you don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. It's just better to just not, you know, to bring that up. But then like later on, you're like, oh, so that person wasn't it. Oh, cool. That's great. So I've never, again, like in Cam about this at all, but I've worked with him for years on other stuff. I'm sure if I looked actually over the entire cast list, there might be a few more recognize. But also, there's a shit ton of voice actors out there. Like, there's a lot of us. The most of us, I'm super famous, you don't know each other. You just don't. It's just like if someone is like, oh, you know, I'm waiting tables, but I'm also an actor. Like, there are just tons of actors on camera, just everywhere. And it's like, we just don't know all of each other. Yeah, it is a small world, but there's just way too damn many of us. Oh my God.
Oh, back to Priscilla, was she just given to you then? Or did you have to audition for that too?
No, she was I like that. She was just, I mean, yeah, it is favorite to me. Usually for video games under contract, you get to do 3 characters. So a lot of times they won't utilize that. But that's why when you with a video game, a lot of people will like, oh, that person did this person and that one person, because under the contract you're able to get 3 voices out of them without having to pay them more. Isn't that great? So that's why we'll do more. So a lot of times if there is another character and like, oh, we don't have anyone, oh, we'll just do this to Marcella do it. And that's also fun because I'll show up and they'll be like, oh, by the way, so on top of Corrin, we'll also have you doing this girl. I'm like, okay, well, how do you want her to sound? What she loves, what's this like? And then we'll just kind of like, I'll say a couple lines. I'm like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about this? Ooh, what about that? I mean, obviously, I'm better than that. Okay, I'm not that bad, but you know, we play around until we're like, oh, that works, and then we'll record it. But again, it's all last minute, day of, right then and there. That's something that took, I think, many years to get comfortable with. And that's one of the harder things, I think, with voice acting. It's not hard anymore. I forget that. And every once in a while, I will work with someone, or I'll be hearing a story about someone who is doing a video game or doing something where they didn't give them the script. They had to come up with a character on the spot. They had to read this without, you know, proofreading it, and they're, you know, cold reading everything. And hearing it from them and how scared and nervous and all these things, I remember, oh, right, that was me for a very long time. I've forgotten that because now I kind of just live in that world. And I have to say, I'm really grateful that I'm past that point. I'm so grateful, but it definitely took, you know, 10,000 plus hours to get there. But that is one of the hardest. Anybody out there is trying to become a voice actor, being able to be put on the spot and follow through. And that doesn't mean not be nervous. That means not showing you're nervous and your nervousness not taking over. Because we still all every once in a while, like, okay, the point is to not be scared. Bravery is not the absent. Okay, this is not me for one. Some other very intelligent person said this, but like, and I'm gonna butcher the paraphrasing, but bravery is not the absence of fear. It's the going past it, or it's being scared and still competing, or being, see, I've already butchered it, but you get what I'm saying. Bravery is not the absence of fear, but it's being able to live in the face of it. It's just not letting it cripple you. But it does cripple a lot of people, and I'm just glad that I'm at a point where it doesn't cripple me anymore. Oh my God, thank God.
Was detouring for a sec, but I've found with voice actresses that I've interviewed that also do multitude of boy voices that they all have like a specific process for it. Do you have something that you do?
Usually for like a boy, I'll kind of like pinch my back of my throat, my vocal cord, so you kind of like raspiness. But otherwise, if I get rid of the raspiness and I'm just doing this for like a little girl, it's basically the same thing. So now I'm just in there and I'm a little girl again, and then I'm a little boy. The raspiness is kind of just that, like, that little easy tip and step and click into. doing a boy. And then there's like other things. A lot of times boys speak in a different cadence than young girls. Like when they get up to like 13, 14, that's harder. The older they get, that's harder. That's so much harder because their voice might be changing and actually sounding like more like a man. And I might be able to do a lot of stuff with my voice, but I still have female vocal cord, and I will never be able to have that baritone. I can't, like, there's just I can't go super low.
Mm-hmm.
I have been blessed, very young, high voice that I probably will sound like this when I'm in my 60s and 70s. If I'm lucky, I will still sound like this, and I'll still be doing kids' voices when I'm 80 years old. But that does mean that there's certain voices that I can't do. And like teenage boys, like, I guess if you just I see, yeah, it just ends up starting to sound like a kid again. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
But also love doing voice. Really do. It's really fun. And then also seeing it later on and being like, oh shit, oh, I can't find me. And then I go back, I'm like, oh wait, no, that was me, and I did. It's like, oh shit, no, that was me. Oh damn. Oh, that's so cool. And like I'll surprise myself, which is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think is the case? If there's like a single case where you've had to alter your voice the most significantly so far?
Gosh, that's a really good question. I'm drawing a blank right now for the majority of it. Sorry.
No, it's all right. I guess most recently, I know one of the things you get to be part of is Deathloop.
Oh my gosh, we did that quite a few years ago. I've been waiting for that thing to come out for so long because that was so much fun to do. I really liked my character. I don't get to play that many evil people.
Mm-hmm.
And with Harriet, I got to be evil, and it was, let me tell you, fun. It was very fun. She's cool. Also, like, I think it's kind of the first character that I really done that I've really seen a cool poster of. Cool. Because like Corrin, there are people who are doing Corrin before me, and there's different variations of Corrin, so I don't really feel like it's just me, like I'm Corrin. I feel like I share that with many people, which is I love, which is great. Harriet is like, oh, that's me. That's totally me. There's no other version. That's kind of cool. Yeah, that was fun. I remember doing those days. That was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good game. If you haven't played Deathloop, it's a really fun game. Really beautiful artwork too. Like they did a really good job. It's fun. But yeah, we recorded that like 4 or so years ago. Maybe 5. I don't even know ago. And it just came out. Also, I mean, COVID and everything that pushed everything back a bit, but still, we recorded that a very long time ago.
Mm-hmm. Have you or do you play any of the Fire Emblem games?
No, because I suck at video games.
Okay.
I suck. I'm grateful that I have a lot of friends who play, so I'll go over and I'll like hang out with them while they're playing, and I'm watching them, and I do enjoy watching it. And I'll let them play, but I'm just not cool. I'm not coordinated like that. My fingers like that's not where my talent is. My talent is vocally and stuff. If I could just be giving commands with my voice while watching it, I probably would be good at it.
Mm-hmm.
The whole remote, no, I can't. But I really do enjoy watching it. So thanks. So a lot of times I'll like, hey, do you guys have this game? No? Okay, I'm gonna get it for you, and can you play it, and can I watch you play it? And then I'll be able to see the stuff that I do, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you don't have a problem with listening to yourself then in projects?
Listen, I can't for hours and hours my voice. No, absolutely not. And also like in video games, unless there's a scene thing that's lasting a very long time, it's usually just like spurts, like yeah, all right, like different things like that I won't. I can listen to that for a little bit before I'm like, okay, and shut up. Like, and then I'm like, I need more. But I also, that's when at that point, I'll tell my friend, like, okay, can you switch over to someone else? Like, I don't want to hear myself anymore. Let's start playing this person. And honestly, with video games, I think that's the only time I really do listen to myself. Otherwise, I do not go back and hear myself. Because yeah, I can be hypercritical. I'm very hypercritical, and a bit of a perfectionist. I'm just happy that there are people out there who do not get annoyed by the sound of my voice and who actually do enjoy my voice. That's very nice of you. I don't necessarily like listening to myself.
So is there anything else that's upcoming that you're part of that you can safely talk about? Or
there is a shit ton that I am a part of that is coming out. None of it I can talk about. Okay. I can only something once it's out. That is now the kind of the standard, the golden rule now, just because of so many people who shit has gone down for them mentioning something, even when like, oh, but I didn't sign an NDA, but like, oh, but we told you this. It's just such a touchy subject that pretty much everyone is just protecting their ass and just going, you know what, until it like, oh, it is out, airing yesterday, oh, it's been released, then I'll be like, this thing. And that's also why a lot of times if you follow different voice actors or actors in general, they'll say, oh man, a couple months ago this was released and I forgot to talk about it. One of it is because a lot of times we forget there's so many projects that like, oh shit, that's finally out. I did that 3 years ago. Wow. But it's all like, you want to make sure, oh, it's been out for a month. They've been some random article is out about me being that voice. It's safe that I come out saying that is my voice. You don't want to, that one time that you mess up could just be really bad. Yeah. So it's turned into, just wait until it's super safe. And even then, like there's a couple different companies that I work for, and I will not mention them, who I've signed the NDAs and everything. And I will receive emails when things are about to saying, we know that people are talking about this. We know that people are talking about you being in it. Even if you are mentioned, if this is released, do not say anything on social media until you get the okay from us. So in there, they even say, like, even someone writes you saying, hey, is this you? Don't respond. Like it's crazy. It's crazy how serious and how much they've stamped down on this. So everyone out there, please don't get annoyed with us. It's not up to us. If it was up to me, every single time I was in a session, I'd be like, yo, I just did this. This is my character. This is what happened. This is so cool. I can't wait for you guys to hear it yourself. But then I would never work in this industry again. So there's that.
There's anything that you want to say to the Fire Emblem subreddit?
Honestly, just like, thank you. Thank you for real. Any game, any show, any franchise, nothing would happen if there was not a fan base actually wanting to see more. Without you, they would have stopped after the period. And I know for a fact that a lot of you have written some really sweet things about me playing Corrin. A lot of times I try not to go on and see stuff because there's still a lot of negativity out there and I just don't want to have that. So my friends will a lot of times send me something when someone has said something nice about her or whatnot. And it is so nice. And I know for a fact that the that I have from this community is part of the reason why they brought me back for Corrin. So without you guys, I literally would not have this job. When I say thank you, I am not just being a generic actor telling you that we appreciate you. Like, no, bottom of my heart, you are giving me work. You are giving me purpose. Thank you so, so much. And I hope that I am able to continue living up standards and I'm able to continue entertaining you. As long as I'm entertaining you, then I will keep playing Corrin. As long as they'll give me the job.
And my final question is always asking what do you want your legacy to be?
Damn, laying the hard hits right at the end. My legacy. God, I don't know if I've ever thought of that. I think I would like to be thought of as someone who you couldn't peg in a hole, that I did a vast array of different characters and projects that kept people guessing. I would love to be one of those voices and actors that someone like hears in something and they might not know my name, but they're like, oh, I know that chick is in that thing. Oh, she's so funny that, she's the voice of this. Oh, I love her in that. I don't care if you know my name, just knowing like, oh yeah, she's a great character voice actor. She does this and like, that's kind of cool. And just the fact that honestly, all of this stuff, all this work that I do is going to be around after I'm gone anyways. That's a pretty cool legacy as well, that my voice will be living on with my dad. That's one of the best gifts I think I've been given. My dad died when I was 15, and even though he's not physically with me anymore, I can hear his voice every single day. And I don't mean just I mean, I can put on anything. There's so many things that I could put on and I can hear him.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I go to Disneyland, I can hear him on the Alice in Wonderland ride. So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That my kids later on will to hear me when I'm gone. Yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad that we got to do this.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was really fun. I hope I wasn't too boring and that you got some good stuff.
No, not at all.
I hope I wasn't just rambling on. Thank you so much, Chris. This was really fun. I hope I answered the questions and it'll be a good interview for you.
Yeah, no, it was good.
Great. Fabulous. Send me a link when it is up. I want to take a look at it, or at least I'll have a friend of mine take a look at it and just, hey, is there anything bad said about me? I don't want to see it.
Okay.
So yeah, let me know when it's up.
All right. See ya.
Okay. All right. I'll talk to you later. Bye.